Hello everyone, MC Tammer here with a hopefully quick video tutorial about leveled list integration for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Let's say you've just created a new armor or weapon mesh and you want to bring it into the game. If you followed my NIF-Bashed weapons tutorial, then I already showed you one method of doing so, which is just simply clicking and dragging the item into the world space. Now, this is great if you want to create a single, unique instance of the weapon. Like, there's only one in the world, and you know exactly where to find it. But what do you do if you want to be able to find your weapon in containers, or run into enemies or other NPCs who are using the item, or if you want to be able to buy it from vendors? That's where leveled list integration comes in, and today I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you've been following my NIF-Bashed weapons tutorial, in which case you should already have all of the programs that I mentioned in the previous video. To follow along with this video, all you're going to really need is the G.E.C.K. So I'm going to have a link in the video description below where you can download either the Fallout 3 version or the New Vegas version, depending on which game that you're going to be working on. So leveled lists are the game's method of randomly distributing items throughout the game, and they're very helpful because it depends, like the leveled name means basically it depends on the player's level. So for instance, if you're a level 1 character, you're not going to find an amazing gun, like a late level gun with in perfect condition. You're going to find like more basic starter tier guns with lower condition that and as you level up, it gradually gives you better and better loot. So this is a more elegant system than just trying to individually manually place everything in the game to populate the loot and what the NPCs are carrying and stuff like that. So usually with what I try to do is just copy a base game leveled list so that I don't have to, basically don't have to reinvent the wheel. So for instance, we had our tactical AK that I made last time, which I cloned basically from the assault carbine. So that would be a good choice as a stepping stone for our leveled list integration. If you're doing armor, you don't necessarily need to do this step, but for weapons, what I like to do is type in the name of the weapon that I cloned my new custom weapon from, and you'll see here that we get just a couple of results. We only really need to focus on the condition NV assault carbine loot and the with ammo NV assault carbine loot lists. This one is the one that determines what the health of the weapon is depending on your level. So here, for instance, at level 1, you can find it either at 30, 35, or 40% health. Starting at level 3, it starts to get better at 45% health. At level 5, you can find at 50% health, and so on and so forth as you level up. The with ammo list is basically so that when you say if you raid a gun cabinet, you don't only find the gun. It'll give you a little bit of ammo and sometimes the casings to go with it. And so what I like to do is just basically copy a base game list. So what I'll do is, the first thing that you should always do when you're modifying a base game or trying to copy a base game list is rename the editor ID so that you don't accidentally overwrite a base game list with your own changes. So what I like to do is just add my prefix and rename the list to match my weapon. And then all you have to do is highlight each of these entries and find the weapon that you or armor that you added, and just change each of these lines to refer to the item that you are adding instead of the base game weapon. Okay, so now that you're done, you can click OK, and it'll ask you if you want to create a new form. Click yes, and you'll notice now that we have a new entry with our new weapon. So we're going to do the same thing with the ammo loot. Now in this case, we're going to change the condition level list to the one that we just created. And because I used 5.56 ammunition, I'm going to need to change this as well. Let's see here. Oh, 5.56. Okay, ammo 5.56. And then this one is another leveled list that gives you a random amount of 5.56. So this way it guarantees, with this entry here, it guarantees that you will find at least one 5.56 round with the weapon, and then you have a random chance to spawn some extra. So we want to find the corresponding leveled list. Okay, ammo 5.56 75, and the same for the cases. This one will randomly spawn a handful of, at the moment, 5mm, but we want 5.56 75. So now we'll have when we find our weapon either with a vendor or in a loot container, it'll have our weapon, one 5.56 round with a handful of randomly generated amount of other 5.56 rounds, and then some casings. So what you can do is click the preview calculated results, and this will give you a randomized sample of what you might find. So here, for instance, we have a total of 8 5.56 rounds and 2 casings. If you think that's too low, you can tweak the numbers. So for instance here, 7, if you think that's too low, you could double it to 14, or make it an even 10. And then when you click the preview the calculated result, it'll show you the new calculation. You can play with it until you get something that you're happy with. So now we can just click OK, and again it'll ask us if we want to create a new form. Click yes, and we have a second leveled list. So now that we've created our own leveled lists, how do we implement them into the game? Because right now they're not really being used by anything. The game doesn't know that they've been added. We haven't told the game that we want to inject these lists anywhere yet. So what we could do is manually drag these into like the vendor lists and all that sort of stuff, but that is generally frowned upon. It's bad modding etiquette because you don't want to modify any kind of base game lists or anything like that, because it could cause conflicts with other mods that reference that same list. So what we need to do is actually write a quest that will inject these our lists into the base game lists without actually directly modifying the base game lists themselves. So it's actually quite simple. What we do is we scroll up here to the quest subheading, right click new, and we give our quest an ID. I usually do my prefix and then call it form list updates. Priority of 55 is good enough for me. That's what I usually use. And we'll check the Start Game Enabled tick box. And then click OK. And then we're going to need to create the quest script. So we click this pencil icon up here that will open the script editor. Script, new. And then we change the script type here from object to quest. So I've gone ahead and written the script so that you don't have to watch me fumble around typing with it. But what I'm going to do now is go through it line by line with you so that you know exactly what everything does. So we have to start with declaring our script name. So SCN and then the name of our script. SCN is just a short form. You could also do it long form if you really wanted to, but I mean, why would you? And then the script name can be anything you like. I usually like to keep the prefix here for ease of sorting when I'm looking around. I can just type in AAA up here and then sort by all, and then it'll give me an overview of all the things that I've added, so that I don't have to keep track of what I named what. And then form list updates so that it's the same name as the quest, so I don't get confused. Now, this short do once is a variable flag, so that because we don't want this script to run constantly. It'll run. We only need to add. We only need to do the injecting once when the game, the first time we add the mod to our playthrough, and we don't want this to keep running constantly, because otherwise it's just going to keep adding all of these items over and over and over and over and over again, and we're going to end up with multiple copies in the list, which is not what we want. We just want it added once. So we have to declare our variables first, and then begin game mode. This tells the game, okay, we want to run this block, everything between begin and end here at the bottom. Run everything in this block when the player starts the game. So here now we have to start our condition if do once equals 0. Now because we're starting the game for the first time, or the mod, when we install the mod on our game, it's running for the first time. The value will always default to 0. All your variables will always have a default value of 0. So that means as soon as the game begins, do once will always be defaulting to 0. So this condition is met. So that means we now have to add. It'll now run all this stuff to add our weapons to all the lists. Now, just a brief sidebar here. Comment your code, kids. It only takes 5 minutes, and it makes everyone's life a lot easier. And to do that, all you have to do is put a semicolon in front of the line, and the game will just ignore everything that's on that line behind the semicolon. So here, I find it really helpful, because if you come back 6 months later and you forgot where you left off, or you have a very complex script and you can't remember what everything does, commenting your code makes it a lot easier to remind yourself what everything does, what goes where. And it's also very helpful for more inexperienced modders. They can, if they like a certain feature in your mod and they want to incorporate that into a mod they're making, then they can download your plugin, take a look under the hood, and figure out how it works. And if it's commented, then it makes it that much easier for them, which is how we all learn. And this spirit of sharing is how we keep the community alive. So please comment your code. Now here, what I've also done is injected the weapon itself into the form lists, which are different from leveled lists. What form lists do is keep track of groups of items. Where is the here form list here? What it does is it keeps track of groups of items. So, for instance, like ammo list 10 millimeters. This is a list of all the 10 millimeter ammo types in the game. This is how you can switch between like hollow point, armor piercing, and regular rounds or whatever, because they're all collected in a list. It's also how the perk weapons work. So, like for instance, if you have shotgun surgeon, for instance, how does the game know what counts as a shotgun and what doesn't? It's the form lists. So also like the repair, what weapons you can use to repair certain items. These are all done using form lists. So the way you can find these, is actually you go to the. Usually what I do, again, because I'm lazy, I don't have to think too hard about it, is I type in the weapon that I cloned it from, and you right click and select the use info. This is a very useful tool. It tells you every record in the plugin that references this item. So here, for instance, we can see under form lists, the assault carbine is added to weapons list ranged all, NV all weapons, weapons rifle list, everything, repair NV assault carbine, and super mutant weapons. So what you can do is either write these down or just double click on it, copy this and paste it into Notepad, and then you can build a list and then copy it and paste it into your script later. And you can also mix and match from different weapons to suit what your weapon does. So, like for instance, if your gun is it's a rifle, but it could also be used as a submachine gun, then what you could also do is enter say the 10 millimeter submachine gun, and you look at its use info and see what lists it's incorporated in, and then you can like mix and match for whatever suits the needs of the weapon that you're adding. So in this case, I chose to add the tactical AK to the everything form list, the NV all weapons, the weapons list ranged all, guns list, weapon rifles list, and because it's fully automatic, it's machine guns list, and also the explodes gas traps on hit. This is the thing that this list is a master list of all the weapons that when you shoot them inside like a gas cloud, it's going to cause the gas cloud to blow up. Another useful list is the holdout weapons list, NV holdout weapons, and NV improved holdout weapons. This is the list that determines what gets confiscated when you enter a strip casino, and what you can smuggle in with a sneak skill of 50 or higher. So if you're making like a pistol, then you'll probably want to add it to the holdout weapons lists as well. And now we can move on to the leveled lists, injecting our lists into the base game leveled lists. Again, this can be done by referring to the use info of the weapon that we've added. So here, we can see that the assault carbine is a tier 4 gun runner's weapon. So I've added that, and what we can also do is do the same trick with the level list that we copied. So here, for instance, the condition NV assault carbine loot, right click use info, and we can see that it's used by the 188 NCR merchant. So I've added that as well. And the with ammo loot is a Super Mutant 2 weapon gun, tier 4 vendor weapons, and tier 4 leveled loot gun, so I've added that as well. And the NCR Ranger Veteran has it, the Legion Vexillarius has it, and the NCR Veteran Trooper has it. So I've added all of those here as well. So you say, you know, add a weapon or add item to leveled list, the list that you want to add it to, the item or leveled list that you want to add into that list, and then these numbers is like the number of times you, like the number of weapons that you want to add. So if you wanted to add it twice to the gun runners, then you'd say like 2 or whatever. And the 99 is like the condition of the weapon. So in this case, it's almost 100%. And I just do that, and because it's not so much about the weapon's condition, but the script needs these variables to compile. So it doesn't really matter what numbers you use, especially with the leveled list. I mean, how can a leveled list have a health associated with it? But that's just what the script needs to compile. So that's how I've done it. So now once we start the game, if do once equals 0, it'll go through it line by line and add the weapon to all these form lists, inject our leveled lists into the base game leveled lists, and then now we want to set that variable flag to 1, so that when it finishes running this loop, it's going to loop back again and see if do once equals 0. Oh wait, no, it equals 1. It equals 1 because we set it to 1. So that means I don't have to run this block again. So we say end if to close off that condition, and then stop quest AAA quest form list updates. So that means when it's done running this, injecting our weapons into the lists, it will stop this quest so that it doesn't tie up resources constantly running it when it's already done its job. And then end. So that's all. We can save this and close it, and then now we double click our quest, and in the script section, this drop down menu here, we select our quest script, click OK, and save our plugin. So for armor, the process is pretty much the same, but obviously you don't need to do the with ammo leveled list. So what I would do is the same thing. Find a base game armor that sort of fits with the armor that you're trying to add. Right click on it and view the use info. So see what leveled lists that it's used in and what form lists that it's used in. In this case, it does have a conditioned list. So you can copy all those into Notepad to paste in your script later. And then we can take a look at that leveled list, the conditioned list. You know, use info. Scroll through this and see all the lists that this list is used in. We can copy and paste these into Notepad, and then the script is exactly the same. It just would refer to your armor instead of a weapon. So it's very straightforward. So this concludes my video tutorial on leveled list integration for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any further questions, I'm going to leave a link to my Nexus Mods profile page in the video description, and you can send me a message or leave a comment on any of my mod pages, and I'll see if I can help you out. I don't check YouTube comments, so Nexus Mods is the way to go. Thank you for watching, and happy modding!